What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. Today we're taking a look ahead at Season 18 to discuss some early details and leaks to the upcoming changes to Arc 3.0, Season 18 story, release date, a new raid, and more. Before we get started, if you enjoyed today's video and find it helpful, then please be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if this is your first time here. Both are greatly appreciated. As it currently stands, Season 18 is scheduled to begin on August 23rd of 2022, and like its predecessors, it is expected to run for 10 weeks, with its projected end date being October 25th. At the time of this video, we don't have any confirmed details on what Season 18 will be titled, but thanks to some leaked details that popped up last season, we might have some significant details towards Season 18's name, the changes we will see with Arc 3.0, Season 18 story, and a returning raid. These leaks popped up on PSPN early last season, and was first dismissed as being completely bogus, made up by a disgruntled former employee. The leaks outlined changes that we would see for Season 17, 18, and beyond, and spoke of changes that we would see to Solar and Arc, along with many other details. After a few days, the post was removed from PSPN, Twitter, Discord, and anywhere else it could be seen. But now, looking back at those leaks, there was a significant amount of accuracy to the leaks themselves. If you look past the terminology that actually made its way into the game, this user was able to provide some key insight towards the changes that we've seen with Solar 3.0. While the leaks to what Season 17 story would actually entail were pretty skewed, there is still a level of accuracy here. While we didn't get a Siva-themed treasure dungeon and a new zone in the Plague Lands, we have returned to the Leviathan, Callus's own personal treasure hoard, filled with gold and treasure. So with that being said, I think it's worth taking a second look at these leaks to see what we might be in store for come Season 18, which according to this leak, Season 18 is supposedly called Season of the Lies. I don't think this particular detail is as accurate as some of the others, as this user also projected that Season 17 would be titled Season of the Lords. The leak states that Season 18 story will revolve around Saint 14 and Mithrax, using what I assume to be Vex technology to resurrect Kira and somehow reconstruct the events leading up to Savathun's rise to power. So ultimately, we're going to try to discover the difference between the truths and the lies that Savathun has spoke of throughout this new DLC if you've played through the mission and campaigns. I imagine that if some version of this does pan out in game, it would mirror what we've seen out of Season of the Splicer and its missions, and Season of the Saint, if I remember if that's the correct name of it, when we first rescued Saint 14 from the Vex. So we would possibly see new areas within the Vex time gate and overall Vex network, which could be really cool. I mean, that is how we got the Bastion in the first place. That's also how we saw our future grave. The leak suggests that the characters playing major roles in Season 18 will be Saint 14, Mithrax, Crow, and Rasputin, and that the season will come to an end with Imaru attempting to resurrect Savathun, but being stopped and killed by Crow before being able to. It was originally slated for the Plague Lands and Siva to make a return along with the Wrath of the Machine raid, but according to this leak, those plans are being delayed, and instead we will see the return of the Kingsfall raid, which I believe will make a much better fit into our current storyline, as we could see Oryx, or a version of Oryx, return through this Vex time gate that Mithrax and Saint 14 are apparently going to be working on. Season 18 will bring Arc 3.0 updates, and it looks like we have some new terminology for Arc 3.0 abilities and their overall functionality. We have Disorient, Electrify, Chain, Reflect, and Quickness all being the highlights. Now sadly, the details to Arc 3.0 aren't nearly as expansive as that of Solar 3.0, but this leak does give us a lot of insight towards what some of the core changes will be with ARC 3.0. The leak states that Hunter's middle tree abilities will be rolled over into normal ARC staff, something we saw happen with all of the classes with their middle trees during Solar 3.0. So presumably we would see that happen with Warlocks and Titans as well, bringing us all down to just 2 different super choices. Hunters will have a new super called Rod of the Tempest, which I don't really know if I want Bungie to name any super the Rod of anything, as the name for a super just, I don't know, it just doesn't sound right for me. But the thought of a Tempest-based Hunter running around deflecting shots and casting arc blasts all over, that does sound pretty damn amazing. The overall concept that Bungie is apparently aiming at with ARC 3.0 is for it to feel delicate, but when correctly used, having devastating effects, as quoted in the leak. And we'll see Warlocks lean more towards abilities that revolve around chaining effects, while Hunters will focus towards disorienting, and Titans relying on electrifying. Which I'm not sure how I feel about that, because based on how we've seen Solar and Void, everybody kind of had the ability to use all of the abilities, or at least when it came to grenades and fragments. The aspects were all a little different, but fragments for the most part were interchangeable, and so were grenades. So it's interesting to see how this is going to shake things up. Overall, I mean, it all sounds great, but at the same time, this leak is still fairly vague, unlike the details that we saw with Solar 3.0. Now, I mean, this could be because Solar 3.0 was closer to production than ARC was at the time that this employee quit or got fired, whatever stopped them from working with Bungie and caused them to post this massive leak. Now, it's also important to factor in departmentalization of information. There's only so much information that this one employee would have had. He also would have been kept in the dark about a lot of things. Codenames are used heavily with Bungie, as we've seen many times over, as we're currently seeing with the Goliath codename. My biggest concern, not with the leak, but with ARC 3.0, is living up to the standard of the 3.0ification. Void and Solar have so far been brilliant, and have definitely changed the way Guardians will play forever. And Bungie will need to hit that home for a 3rd straight time in Season 18 to keep Guardians happy. So we'll see how ARC 3.0 lives up to the hype when it's released on August 23rd. The rest of this leak goes on to highlight apparent details and changes that we will see with Season 19, and then next in the new DLC called Lightfall, which are both very far out, far too out to speak of today. But we will be definitely talking about those in the upcoming months, so be sure to stay tuned to the channel. What are your thoughts on these leaks though? Do you think that it's all bogus, or do you think that there's some accuracy to what this former employee claimed? I'd love to hear what your thoughts on the leak and what your thoughts on ARC 3.0 are. Let me know in the comments below. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, found it helpful. If so, be sure to hit the like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated and really do help support the channel. Until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you some happy hunting.